Corbolic V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Corbolic V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Pro Physique Code. We got a lot of updating to do. Lexi, tell them what we're talking about today.
So we are going to talk about a lot of different things. So obviously, we had North Americans this past weekend in Pittsburgh, national level show. And I know Paul and I discussed this weekend that we just kind of wanted to reflect a little bit on the weekend, talk a little bit about kind of just like an up-to-date, like now, I mean, gosh, we're more than mid through the year, but now it's been a solid 7-8 months, well, I guess 8 months of Fit Model being a division in the MPC. So we're going to talk a little bit about just kind of staying up to date with that, things we've noticed. Yeah, and just kind of talk from there.
You know, you just brought up something I noticed this weekend. And I don't know if it's because it's North Americans and it's in Pittsburgh and they only give out one pro card. This was the smallest North Americans for open bikini of all time, ever.
Really?
Yes. Daraja won this show in 2019, 269 open bikini competitors. Now, the difference between this show and other shows is they have crossovers, right? So it's the 35 and over, sometimes even the 40 and over. Sometimes you'll even get somebody that's in some of the older classes that will do the open bikini. So it's not 200, it wasn't 269 straight open, but still 269 registered for open bikini.
Oh, I thought they said,
oh,
never mind. You're going to say, I was going to say they said 400, but that's not just open bikini.
That was with crossovers, I'm guessing, because so when you're coaching at North Americans, and Lexi, you know this because you were there for Fit Model, and the order of the event was wellness first, Fit Model second, bikini last, right? So I got there at 9 a.m. Prejudging ended at 6:30 p.m. My butt was sore from sitting there all day, but it was, it's one of those days like you love what you do, so I love doing it. But so I kept going backstage, right? I was coming to check on you guys, checking the Fit Model girls were ready, checking on, the Masters bikini, and then finally open bikini. So when my last kind of Masters bikini competitor got off stage, I'm like, let me go check on, I had 2 girls doing the open, which is a low number for me. 2 in open bikini at a national show is low for me. I've probably had as many as like 12 or 15 at times. So I go back there, there's no one in the room because all the Fit Model had left, all the Masters had left. And I look over at one of the other coaches and I go, what's going on? Where is everybody? They're like, it's small. And I was like, how small? They're like, there's like less than 10 in A and B.
Oh.
I was like, what?
Well, now that you bring that up, because I at the airport, you showed me you had numbers, and I took a picture. So just to recap, these are your numbers, Paul. You put there were 11 in open A bikini, 8 in E, 14 in C, 18 in D, 12 in E, 15 in F, 11 in G, and 20 in H.
109.
Yeah, that was for open.
2019 to 2025, 269 to 109. Like,
I can't believe there's 20 in H.
I know, that was surprised me too, because normally those taller classes you don't see.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all. It's 5'7" and over. So that's one of the reasons it's always, at the and I've noticed more taller competitors competing this year, because I don't know, man. It's just like, where the crap is everybody? Because USA's was actually bigger this year than last year. However, what USA's did was they moved the show back to Vegas and they give out 2 pro cards. And it wasn't a huge jump. It was like 20 more competitors than the year before.
I mean, that kind of reminds me too of Paul. Like when we went backstage too at Universe when Open Bikini was on, it wasn't busy, but it was dead.
That's the smallest Open Universe has ever been. Yeah. And they give out 2 pro cards, top 2.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably just got to do with the fact that maybe there's 2 reasons. One, that it's only the class winner for I guess open that wins a pro card. And two, I feel like it could just be, I don't know, like the time of year for some people. I mean, the way, maybe, I don't know if this is just a theory. I mean, it is back to school season. I feel like that's a busy season for a lot of people. And, you know, not for nothing, a lot of competitors are 30 plus, maybe have kids. So I don't know if that had something to do with it, just like poor timing in the year, who knows? Because I mean, otherwise I feel like it was a great show. I mean, I love Pittsburgh, and everybody that I was talking to at this show who was there who didn't live in Pittsburgh was like, yeah, I love this city. It was beautiful there all weekend, but I don't know. I feel like, and they also, I will say, backstage, they did a really good job. Like they were yelling constantly, "Hey, if you've already gone on stage and you're done, get out."
Get out.
Yeah, I
It
remember.
was packed at the point where wellness was ending. Fit model was lining up, and the bikini girls were coming back there. I actually was like, okay, I'm gonna leave because I'm like a bull in a china shop in that room.
Yeah, yeah, but they kept yelling. They were like, because wellness went first. They were like, if you are wellness, like, leave the room, please leave. Like, we need more space. So they
You
did.
know, I actually might want to check. Well, no, wellness only does what, 4 classes? They were big classes though. Wellness was decent sized. Um, Not nothing. You know what? And Fit Model had 60, did I say 64?
Um, for open,
Yeah. They
yeah,
had
I
more,
think.
some of the one or two of the classes had more than 20 girls. So
Yeah,
like it was significantly growing. While yeah, I don't know where the bikini girls are. I just really don't. I mean, if I guess if you combine the 64 from Fit Model with the 109, it would have been in the 170s. That probably would have been a pretty normal bikini year. And if I'm being honest, watching the bikini division, about half of the girls, I was like, damn, if that girl was in Fit Model, she'd be winning her pro card.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I think that that's the thing is I think that a lot, maybe not all, but I think that a lot of the fit model girls that were on stage this weekend, have been prior bikini girls. Like they're not. I mean, maybe obviously there were probably a few that just started the season, but I think a lot, at least a lot of the ones I talked to, had done bikini like last season or in years prior. So it's like if fit model hadn't existed and you added all the fit model competitors to bikini, I feel like the numbers would have looked a little bit more at their norm.
Yeah, well, that's what we noticed with junior nationals. Junior nationals, there was only 84 in bikini, which is crazy.
Yeah,
That's not
I
even 11 per class.
yeah, I
Uh,
remember junior nationals being oddly small. Yeah.
but that's another show where A, they give out one pro card, and B, it's in a, Chattanooga's a nice city. It's not the easiest place to get to.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh,
No.
an amazing city, probably one of the most underrated cities you could ever go to. I love it there. But if I had
Mhm.
never gone there for a bodybuilding show, it was never been on my list of places to visit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, wellness really wasn't that big. 14 in class
No.
A, 14 class B, 16 class C, and 9 class D.
Oh, it's smaller than Fit Model. So Fit Model's
Yeah.
already bigger than Wellness and Figure. I'd already took that over. Um,
Yeah.
it
Wellness
just shows
10,
you that
19, 18, 21. Yeah.
I mean, and it makes sense. The biggest filter for this sport should be the entry level divisions,
Should
and
be.
the smallest filter should be the, open pro bodybuilding and open women's physique. That should be like,
Hmm.
there should be, and that's when the sport was its biggest. And I'm just curious. My prediction is a lot of people are watching the sport this year, a lot of girls, and they're like, oh, I'm going to do Fit Model next year. People that have never competed before.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for them to choose their champions, their face of Fit Model, if you will, right? Because in the early years of bikini, Nicole Negrani, Sonia Gonzalez, like these were amazing women that I think a lot of girls were like, oh, I want to look like that. And then, Janet League was soon followed, and that's not necessarily who the Olympia champion is. That's a standard that's like for whatever, but it's like the women in the sport that are the faces of the division, because Laura Lee for years wasn't the champion, but she was definitely the favorite athlete of everybody before she won a
Yeah.
title.
Yeah.
I, I'm looking at just the men's physique side of things, and there's way more in the masters divisions of men's physique than there are in the open right now, too.
We talked about that too. I mean, men's
Yeah.
physique standard for the pros and the national levels has gotten so high that, like not for nothing. I've noticed talking to friends that are still in the natural bodybuilding circuits, those shows are growing. OCB is doing very well. WNBF shows have been doing very well. So I'm just curious, there's more options out there now. It's, the NPC is obviously the best and the biggest organization, but there's some really quality stuff that you can do out there outside of the NPC. So yeah, I'm just curious. I'm actually going to be going to a natural competition in Georgia in a couple of weeks, and I'm just curious to see how the numbers look because I was at that NPC show in Georgia a couple of weeks ago, and there was nobody there. There was literally like 40 NPC competitors.
Oh,
Really?
the Atlanta show, Atlanta Pro Am.
One of the
Georgia's,
nicest stage setups I've ever seen, and nobody there.
Interesting.
And there was like
unfortunately, that's why
150
Georgia's not a lot,
pros.
yeah.
It was a pro
Yeah.
show. There was all the pro divisions. They had 212 bodybuilding, men's physique, bikini. Like, that was the one that Jordan won. And the guy that won men's physique looked incredible. I was watching him. And then I'm like, I really wish I could have flown in all of my athletes to get on that stage. The lighting, Tyler was there, like all the things that you want. Nope,
Yeah.
nobody. So,
Wow.
well, let's talk a little bit about your experience, Lexi, because so for those that aren't familiar, you did bikini at Tampa, made the
No.
transition to fit model. I'm sorry, Texas. You talked to Bill backstage at Tampa. That's where my mistake was.
Yeah. I've talked to Bill a lot recently because he judged me at Texas. And then I was there at Tampa with you, Paul, like just coaching and got to speak with Bill backstage. And then Bill was also at this show and talked to him after the show as well. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to try Fit Model out just because I feel like it's very much so more in alignment with like where my physique is at currently. And so I did bikini in Texas, placed second in my open class there. And Bill's feedback was just, he was like, your shape is there. We need more of you. And the way I interpreted that is just more muscle depth, density. And, and obviously I can probably put that on with time, lots of time. I wanted to compete again. I didn't want to just have to shut it down and, grow for a couple of years. And I'm also, not against this, anybody doing this, but I'm just not willing to go the super enhanced route to put on the size I need to put on for bikini at this point in time, right? So I decided to do Fit Model at North Americans, and I got feedback at Tampa when I talked to Bill. That's when I had made the decision to try out Fit Model, and I asked him, what would you do? If you were me, like I showed him my Texas pictures and I said, I'm going to do Fit Model at North Americans. Like, what would be your feedback? So he gave me some feedback. And, going into North Americans, I wanted to, I kind of utilized what had been rewarded at the past national show. So that was USA's. And I did feel like, I wasn't there in person, so I don't want to make it sound like I know everything about that show, but it did kind of appear that they were rewarding a little bit of a leaner look, right? Smaller, leaner look, right? So going into North Americans, I wanted to go in being a little bit leaner, right? As opposed to being too soft, because we all know sometimes getting on the stage does add an element of like just weight and size. So that's the approach I took going into North Americans. My stage weight was honestly right, like it was literally like maybe a pound up from Texas, so nothing crazy. However, I felt a lot better. Like my body felt just a lot happier because didn't have to grind as much going into North America for Fit Model, right? My cardio was down, my food was up, I was training hard and heavy. So so I was class B for North Americans. And to be honest, like I was looking at all the girls as we were lined up backstage, and I feel like everybody looked everybody looked really good. There weren't, a ton of outliers, if you so will. But obviously I didn't place, super well, but looking at the stage pictures, I'm happy with what I brought. I don't feel like I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, I wish I would have done this. Now, a big factor, and I had many people point it out, and I'm very aware that this was a thing. Yes, I know my tan was super weird and wonky and off on stage. And I know, Paul, you and I discussed this at the airport about the tan, and like The crazy thing is I was, I was sprayed a third time backstage before going on for prejudging when they were glazing. Like they resprayed me and touched me up. I didn't even sit down between then and when I walked like on stage for prejudging. So I have no idea where like the little marks and why the tan looked the way it did. Because I did my usual skin prep. I didn't do anything different going into this show to prep my skin. It was just the tan was terrible, and well, at least how it looked on my skin. And that was Bill's main feedback after the show. Unfortunately, was he was like, your tan just, it was off, and it didn't make it, it was really hard for us to like see you on stage and to see that pop, right? So but you live and you learn, right? Like I'm just gonna take it and learn and gotta
Well,
figure out.
so when it comes to the tan, it's a crapshoot because so I'll give you another example. So my open bikini F girl, Jessica, she did not go on stage till 4:30, right? So we had been at the venue since like 11 a.m. Because I'm always a nervous Nelly. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You know, when they start lining up wellness and they're like, all right, let's start glazing fit model. You know, my alarm bells are like, oh shit, get all the bikini girls here.
Yep.
Yeah, no. With masters bikini classes being what they were, they didn't even start. Honestly, thank goodness open bikini was small because they didn't even start open bikinis like 3:30, 4 o'clock. If it would have been 30 girls a
Yeah.
class, we would have been there till 8 o'clock. So when they come out with 11, and the nice thing is when they come out with 11 or 8, they just put them all on the line. They don't even really do call outs. So it's like it
Mhm.
shortens the show quite a bit. But anyway, so she's class F. And I said, okay, they're getting ready to start open bikini. Let me just get one last look at you. And I had her come out in the sunlight and pose. And I said, you know what? Your tan, your arms and legs look good, but it's washing off on your core, probably because she was sitting around, you know, for hours. So I
Yeah.
took her over to the tanning place and I said, hey, can we just darken up her midsection and, you know, these little areas? And they go, you know what? Just get in the tent. We'll just do a full respray. And I was like, sick. Her color when she walked out of that tent, I was like, ooh, man, she is dark, but it was the best tan in her class. And so, like, she did the same thing as you, Lexi, and just got a completely different result. And she did 2 coats of super dark, one Wednesday night, one Thursday night, or no, sorry, one Thursday night, one Friday night, and then didn't rinse on show day, and then did one more coat in the morning, and then did bronzer. So like that's where she was at with 3 coats and a bronzer. I don't know.
And I will say the tanning company that was there, all the people that were working were extremely sweet. So I have nothing bad to say about them. It's just, I don't know if it was just, I know what, everybody's a little different when it comes to the
Yeah,
tanning solution,
Mhm.
because I think back to Texas when Protan was there, they were the host tanning company. And honestly, I mean, my tan was a little wonky in some spots, but it definitely took to the color much better, right? So it's just something I got to figure out. I actually had one of your clients, Paul, I was talking to last night. She sent me this like PDF that she had for like a breakdown of how to do the DIY. So like I may try the Protan DIY in the future.
yeah, that's what
You know,
I do. It works great for me.
I think I may try it. I definitely want to, like, I'm taking this on as a challenge. Like, I had some people that were like, oh, that's so unfortunate that that was, a big part of your feedback. And I get it. Like, it is kind of frustrating when it's something like the tan, right? But, like, this is one, it's a valuable lesson of how important the tan is. And two, it's like, you know what? I did everything I could have done in this situation. And like, they resprayed me backstage a third time. They were great about that. And I don't know what happened because I didn't even sit down between then and when they lined us up and then we were backstage. So my tan just it severely looked off. So it's just a lesson I'm gonna have to, lesson that I learn. And then obviously I'm gonna kind of just have to troubleshoot some things when it comes to the tan moving forward so that this doesn't become a reoccurring issue. So I guess kind of main lesson is the tan is important, guys. Definitely something that, it can impact your placing if your tan is really wonky because Bill's exact words, I have it on a voice memo. He was like, you didn't pop as much on stage because your tan was just, it was
Hey,
off.
listen, Jessica won her pro card, and so like you when you're walking out there comparing to a lot of good athletes, and the one thing I said to you, Lexi, was
Yeah.
this: I want you to do more shows, and it's not from the perspective of you need to do more shows, but to become a pro, you need to be a pro in every aspect of this sport, right? And that's why when you go to a pro show and they walk out on stage, you go, "Wow, they all look amazing." Yeah, because they've all made all the damn mistakes.
Yeah.
We're taking
Yeah.
the genetic elites who've made all the mistakes and they've worked out the details. And even they get things wrong sometimes, but the margin of error is much smaller.
Yeah, no, I feel like, there was a past version of myself that very much so would not have had this like immediate mindset post show of like, all right, like I kind of now look at it as what did I learn and what lesson can I implement going into my next show to improve? And also, like, not for nothing, what like I learned from my own mistakes as an athlete, but I also learned from my own mistakes and can teach my clients what to do and what not to do as well, right? Like I'd rather personally make the mistakes on stage myself rather than have my clients make them, right? So yeah, I think I think the two biggest things that I have to kind of figure out going into the next show, whenever that is. And I told you this, Paul, is obviously the tan and then my digestion, because I'm just a bit of a weird case with my digestion. It doesn't matter what I eat. It's kind of a stress thing before the show. So I've got to
Yeah,
figure out that because that also makes it really hard for core control. So we'll get there though. I'm looking at it as a fun challenge. So
perfect.
Yep. And the only way you get better at it's by doing it more. That's it.
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. So I will say it was such a fun weekend though. Like I think part of what made it such a fun weekend, like we had such a big, awesome group of girls at the show, and I roomed with
Yeah.
Paperton and Melanie is just a hoot. She's hilarious, and I'm gonna give her a little shout out because I know she's listening. But she was so fun to room with. I loved it. Besides
Right.
the fact that she wakes up at like 3 a.m. in the morning, that was the only downfall of that.
She is a force of nature. She is just happy to be alive. That woman is like
Yes,
infectious.
she
Like you,
is.
Yes.
and then I want to give a special shout out to Megan, who won the over 45 fit model overall, Christina Castle's client, and because I've been going to national shows with Megan for years,
Oh,
and she just keeps showing up. And when the last couple of years, she was starting to drop in the placings as a masters bikini competitor, not for any other reason than the girls were just getting bigger. Um, so it was like, man, um, what is she going to do with her career? And she literally bawling when I saw her. So she got her
Okay.
overall, and I went backstage to give her, because Christina couldn't make it, so I went backstage to see her. Like she turned the corner with her trophy in her hand and her pro card in her hand, and as soon as she saw me, she stopped, dropped her head, and just started bawling. And I was like, man, this is what makes all this shit worth it. And this is why I tell people keep showing up. You don't know what's going to happen the next month, the next
Hmm.
year. The sport changed, and it changed right in her direction. She was ready to go and dominated. I mean, I didn't think it was close in the overall. So, like, um, yeah, she just looked great. And, I saw her the day before at the gym, and I was like, man, you're going to be hard to beat. Because, when you go to all the shows, you see the competitors, and I'm like, you're
Hmm.
going to be very hard to beat. And yeah, so it was just one of those cool
I'm
moments. Yeah.
really happy for her. I talked with her before finals and she was telling me a little bit about, like you kind of said, Paul, feeling a little, I guess, lost with like the whole bikini and her placings dropping. And I'm so happy for her. I've said this before, but I admire athletes. Like the athletes that I admire the most are the ones that just keep showing up, and maybe they've worked at this for years and years and years, and they just never give up and they keep going, and they finally get that pro card, and it's like, or that win, and it's just like those are the people I admire. Like, it's cool to see people who get on stage for the first time and win their first show. Like that's awesome. But I don't know, I think it's just very admirable when you see people like Megan. Just she could have very well have quit, a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever, but she's kept going, and it was awesome to see her success.
Yeah. And a similar story from our other client, Jen, who got her pro card. I think we've done 3 years of national shows, and she's placed anywhere from like third or fourth to like 10th or 12th. And we're always just trying to figure it out. And for her to get middle and then get her pro card was very satisfying. Especially we made a couple little posing tweaks that I think nailed it on Friday. And so yeah, it does remind you like what this sport is about when someone just keeps showing up and they keep making improvements, and then they get their day.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it's a discussion I have a lot with my athletes of, I know, and there's, I get it. When you're new to the sport and you know, don't place how you want to place it, it does hurt, it does sting. But, you know, I have the conversation with my athletes all the time. Like, hey, if you're going to be this negative every time you don't win, like, not for nothing, this sport may not be for you, right? Like, if you're gonna get all upset and blame the judges and feel super negative after you don't place how you want to place, like, you probably, the competing is probably not the sport for you, because you're most likely, like most athletes, if you stay in this long term, you're gonna lose more than you win, right? That is just part of the sport. You have to know
Yeah,
that.
if you consider not winning first losing, you're absolutely going to lose more than you win. You're either going to
Absolutely.
get to the top of the sport quickly, win, 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 top of the sport, lots of losses, or you're going to lose early in the sport, and by the time you get to the top, you'll probably place consistently higher. But like, yeah, that's. I literally had a competitor last year cry because she didn't win the overall, and I was like, "Yeah, it's your first show. You're a true novice. Let's
Yeah,
bring it down a notch." And my
yeah.
other client beat her, and I'm like, she's been at this a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I have to also, I before I forget, I want to give a shout out to the girl that won actually my class in Fit Model. Her name is Priscilla. She looked fantastic, but I want to give her a shout out because she actually DM'd me this weekend, and she said she listens to our podcast, and she was like,
Awesome.
she's like, I'm so upset that I didn't, you know, come up and introduce myself, or we didn't get to meet in person. But obviously, like, you know, the hustle and bustle of show day, it happens, right? But she said she listened to the podcast, so I wanted to give her a shout out and major congrats to her, because she looked awesome. And I think, don't quote me, so sorry if I get this wrong, Priscilla. I think she is the one that won the Fit Model overall at the Dexter Jackson, I believe.
Oh,
Don't quote me, but
yeah.
I believe that was the case. So sorry if I got that wrong, Priscilla, but congrats to you. She looked fantastic, and I'm excited to just.
Well, so I don't know if I think I did this, Lexi, because she was in your class. I actually took a screenshot of her because my feedback for you had nothing to do with your physique. I thought your physique was ready to turn pro. My my feedback was like you didn't bring the glam that the other girls brought, and I used her pictures and I said her makeup, her hair, her tan, she was stunning from head to toe. And so, yeah, she had the physique, but there is the word model in the division. And so this is not
Absolutely.
women's physique. This is not like they want to be drawn in by you.
Well, yeah, and no, that you did show me those, that side by side, and I know I kind of not gonna, I won't discuss it on here, but I gave you the lowdown on the makeup
Yeah.
situation and what had happened and what, you know, led up to that. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said earlier, like being backstage and looking at all the girls that were in my class, because we were all lined up and, you know, and just chatting a little bit before we went on stage, like looking at all the Fit Model girls. And part of this could just be that it was a national level show, but like looking at everybody, oh my gosh, everybody looked great, and they looked great. There was nobody that you like looked at and you were like, ooh, no, they shouldn't be here, right? And so then like that, to your point, that makes the all the other little details that much more important, right? Because when you have girls that all look really damn great physique wise, how are the judges going to differentiate, you know, between who's the winner and who's not? Well, then that comes down to the presentation. So posing, your glam, your makeup, your hair, your tan, right? Like those things become super important when everybody's physique is maybe very comparable, or everybody has a pretty good physique, right? So yeah, so again, another lesson I learned. I know I need to work on the tan obviously being the main thing, and then, you know, more contrast and pop with the makeup. And yeah, so yeah, but that you did.
I do want to give one other shout out. So when I was in line to take pictures with my competitors after the show, there was one competitor, Lexi, who actually competed after having broken her foot the week before, and she
Yes.
had a boot on, like a black
Mhm.
boot that when we were watching her at first, when we were prejudging, I noticed it and I was like, holy crap, she's walking like there's no boot on. So we all noticed it. And then she ended up dominating. She was so good. Her name is Rachel Farganis, and I think she won the overall for the over 40 or over 35. Let me double check because I don't want to misquote her age. But I met her right after the show ended and we were all taking pictures, and she's like, I listen to the podcast. So I was like, I'm gonna give you a shout out because she custom made the boot.
I saw
Yeah.
that. I
She's like, I
yeah.
glued and dremeled, and like she's like, it's amazing when you want to do something, you do it. I'm like, yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah, you come so far, right? I don't know how long she had been in prep, but like, I mean, yeah, that was really cool. I think a lot of people probably know who we're talking about, because I saw a lot of
she won
in
the over 35
about her.
overall. Yeah, over
Yeah,
35
that
of
was
them.
very, very impressive. Yeah, that was very impressive. Yeah, and it was so cool. I know we say this all the time, but being backstage, having people come up and being like, "Oh, I listened to the podcast," or like, I watch your YouTube." Like that's just so fun. I love that.
I literally had a girl just walk by me and go, podcast, and walked away. And I was like, perfect.
I love that.
That
She,
is so
she didn't
fun.
even say hi. She just said podcast because we said to say hi.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and I'm so bad with names, I will say. I'm so terrible with names. So I always try to remember the names so I can like we can
Maybe
give them
she
shout
didn't
outs
win the
on the
overall.
podcast.
Okay,
But
so she won class E, but not the overall. I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect the girl that won the overall. Okay. I really, you know what? I think I just assumed she was going to win it because she looked so good.
she did. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing I want to like bring up too, not that this is like specific for North Americans, but I also want to bring up the fact that, unless you are there in person, it is really hard to make like clear, concise, like judgments of what was rewarded and what wasn't, right? So especially when it comes to like fit model, right? Like because I don't know, I feel like it's so different when you're there in person and you're seeing things with your own two eyes in person as opposed to on social media. Because sometimes I'll get, people that are like, oh, I thought you should have placed above this girl or whatnot. And it's like, well, thank you. But like also, you know what? Being there in person is a whole different limelight, right?
Mhm.
That's something I do want to bring up too, because I even get asked sometimes too as a coach, like, what did you think of, this show's results? And I always say, here, I'll give you my opinion, but I wasn't there in person. So this is not going to be 100% accurate as opposed to if I was actually there in person. So yeah. Yeah.
Always different in person, and
It's
that's
hard to
that's relevant,
judge.
especially fit model.
It's hard to judge, but I will say, like, I want to give a shout out. I mean, not that he listens, but to Bill Sibilia, who was head judging, and David Herskovitz, who is, absolutely one of the best judges in Florida, was also judging. I thought they nailed it. They took their time. They moved people around. Um, we can be really critical of judges at times and be like, I don't know what they were doing. But I'll say this. I don't know if there was any decisions where I was like, what are they doing? No, I was like, oh wow, okay, that's okay. I think this girl's better. Oh, and they moved her in. Like, so it was just all day. It was like, man, um, they were nailing it. And sometimes it went against my client, because you get coach's goggles, so it's very easy to be like, understand that if you know somebody and you're familiar with them, they're automatically going to look better than other people. You have
Yeah.
to take that objectivity out. So there's times even where I'll be like, I don't know. I don't think my girl's going to win. And then people will be like, Paul, you're stupid. She's dominating. And I'm like, I don't know. That girl had a good tie-in, and you're like,
Yeah.
so, but I was really happy with the way the call outs went, with the way the comparisons went. And, so, and this year I sat literally in the second row. So maybe that helped, like I sat, there
Could have
was the
helped.
judges, there was the chairs for like the manions, and then I sat right there, right behind them. So like I was right up in it all day for
And
14 hours.
oh,
6:30.
yeah, you had
6:30 it
a
ended.
long day, Paul. It was funny because Brooke, Melanie, and I, after a fit model prejudging, like we were like, oh, we're gonna watch Bikini, but then we realized, okay, let's go back up to the room because it's gonna be a while before open Bikini. And Melanie just kept saying, she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. Paul's just like he's had such a long day, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Used
just
to it.
that's part of our job, coaching. But yeah, it was a long day for you, especially. And something else I want to bring up, we've talked about this before, and I know I tell my athletes this all the time, especially when posing. So, especially like I wasn't there for watching the bikini portion, but for fit model, I mean, they made us hold our like they when they bring you back out for call outs, you are holding that front post for a very long time.
Mhm.
And it is, I mean, I would arguably say the fit model front pose is a little bit more, in my opinion, like it's a little bit more burdensome on your back just because you're pushing into that hip so much. But this is just a good reminder, like ladies, if practicing posing, practice holding your front pose, especially because it's not comfortable. But like if you're on stage for a couple of minutes and you don't know how to hold that front pose, or you're cramping or you're shaking, like that's just something you want to practice. You really need to practice that posing endurance before getting on stage, especially if you're going to do like a bigger show or a national level show.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's exactly what I was going to say is the when the classes are bigger and they're really comparing you, they're going to just hold you there. They might not even be looking. So something I tell my competitors is if you see the judges kind of conferring and not looking up, take a deep breath and reset. You got to be paying attention to the judges because you don't want to just be up there relaxing. But yeah, especially like, I don't know, have you ever done bodybuilding, Evan, or has it always been men's physique since you started?
Always men's physique, yeah.
So I used to do bodybuilding when it first started because that's all there was. And the front relax pose in bodybuilding is the hardest pose to hold because you have to contract your
Keep your core
quads.
super
You
tight.
have to keep your lats open. So your lower back is tight. Your quads are, trying to be separated. I've literally held that pose for 5 minutes straight before while the judges were talking. And if I wasn't prepared for that, luckily I had a coach that was like, hey, you need to practice your front relax pose. They just leave you in it. But again, it's almost like you learn to go, okay, the judges aren't even really looking at us, so we can relax. I'll hit like a most muscular. I'll just kind of like stay moving. And then when I see them, I just come to attention. But yeah.
And a lot of guys will put their hands like in front of their core to let their core relax a little bit and then hit back into it.
But posing endurance is very real. You gotta own the posing endurance.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk? Let's see. What else do we want to hit on? Anything else like specific to North Americans or fit model?
I mean, the fit model stuff, I felt that was a very clear, like I'm definitely seeing tight cores, right? A little bit of ab separation looks really nice up there, draws your attention in. Here's Evan's gonna love this. And I think I talked to you, Evan, on show day. So fit model, as we know, they don't want hardness. They don't want detail in the shoulders, the quads, the glutes, like the hamstrings, anything like that. There was a couple girls that when they came out for groups, for those that aren't familiar with the national shows and even bigger NPC shows, they bring everybody out in groups of 8 first, just to get a look at everybody, just to kind of go, hey, how's everybody looking? And they'll write down some numbers that they think is first call outs. Then they go off stage, then they come out for their individuals, then they go off stage, and then they line them up, and then they go, okay, we want to see number 13, number 19, number 20. You better be listening because they say those numbers fast. And so I was like, this is going to be very interesting because there were some girls that looked amazing, but I felt they were a touch too hard.
Yeah.
A little bit of quad separation when they walked, really deep separation in the abs, maybe like a little pronounced, they weren't in the first call outs, Evan. They were in last call outs and they were moved out.
Really?
Which
Yeah.
is the only way you prevent that from happening. Because if they would have put them in first call outs and they would have been like, well, you're too hard to win, so you're third, every girl in that class would have said, okay, I got to come in harder. But everybody saw that and now they're thinking, I cannot come in that hard.
Yeah.
And that's what they needed to do in pro bikini a long time ago and they waited too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they actually did do that because, I think a lot of people would be really upset. I mean, I've seen even a couple of regional shows recently where the winner is a little bit, just a little bit more like just has that harder look. And I've seen some people thinking or saying like, oh, this is just bikini all over again, right? But I do feel like if they want to keep the criteria set, like I am very glad that they did that. And I'm still very curious, like how next year will be for fit model when we start to see those pro fit model shows come out because I do think that there are going to be some current bikini pros that do fit model and I mean I would say every bikini pro right now has a pretty good amount of muscle, right? And I almost feel like that would be borderline too much for fit model, so I'll be curious to see how they monitor the criteria next year with pros on stage. Like I'm glad though that they didn't reward an overly muscular look or just too much hardness because I just feel like that would be them getting away from that criteria.
So kind of on topic, but kind of off topic with that, I think this was interesting. I saw a little hoopla on the Instagram the other day, I guess, because someone said that Marine would be a very good fit model competitor. And the first thing that came to my mind was she's not as big as the other bikini girls are now.
Yeah.
From the front,
Right.
she is, but her glutes have not kept up with the size of the
Yeah.
wellness glutes that the bikini girls have now.
And she's always come in, at least in the past, she comes in sometimes a little bit soft at times at some shows. So the way the sport has evolved, especially in bikini, be interesting to see how she would do there. Just being maybe a little bit softer.
Yeah, I mean, you're referring to her softness, but I don't think I've ever seen, other than Pittsburgh this year, I've never seen her place lower than second at any show, including the Olympia. Like she's always up in there. So I just think they're going to have a hard time if they take somebody who's an Olympia champion and Olympia,
Hmm.
and putting them in fit model. I don't think that'll be a good look for the sport. I don't. I just would be curious. That would just be signaling to all the girls you need to look like Maureen. Um, and I think they need a fresh person. And if I'm not mistaken, what's Maureen? 35, 36?
I'm not sure.
Great question. She's one of those people I've never like. I'm actually pretty good at
I could
guessing.
be way off, but I assumed someone
Let me-
told me that at one of the Olympias, like, oh yeah, she's 30 something. And I was like, oh wow, you would never guess that. I don't know. Listen, obviously she's got a great look overall. And then she's doing the Olympia this year, right? I'm assuming. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm not sure.
she is. I believe
So I'll be
she is.
curious if she tries to, because here's the thing about competitors, especially former Olympia champions. They don't like losing. So she got her
Yeah,
butt kicked in May. And when I say
she's
butt kicked, what'd she
so
get? Fourth, third?
yeah, but I mean, if her name was a Marine, I don't think she would have been top 10. She was so outsized compared to the other
She
girls there.
was, but she's had since May to put on size, and it wasn't that
Yeah,
much. So if she decided like, okay, it's time to put my foot on the accelerator and come into better, she could win the Olympia, like hands down. She's beaten everybody at that show. So if she's decided to put on that size and be competitive and take the feedback seriously, which we saw Issa do it. Issa went from Olympia champion to sixth
hmm,
and then was like, screw this, and then got back up there. And then now she dropped way back last year to what, ninth? And I don't think she's competing this year.
no, she's not.
She's not.
Yeah.
I just
So,
looked too, and it looks like Marine is, according to this website I'm seeing. So in 2024, she was 29. So I guess she's 20 or she's 30.
oh, she's a baby then. Oh my gosh. She's the same age as Daraja. Okay. My bad. Sorry, Maureen. Not that you listen to our podcast, but I don't know why I had heard that somewhere sometime. Um,
I don't know
anyway,
how accurate this website is, but that's what I found. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
maybe.
seeing it on two websites. So yeah, she's 30.
Yeah, I remember at one time because when Daraja was starting, when she got first call out to the Olympia, she was 26 maybe. And it was like Jen Dory, Laura Lee, Daraja, they were all the same age. They were all 26, 27. Daraja's since stepped out to have start her family. Jen Dory's retired, as far as I know. I haven't seen or heard her do anything. Laura Lee's obviously taken the reins as the Olympia champion. We should probably do a Bikini Olympia preview video because we haven't I don't know,
Yes.
like
Never
the
touched
last
on it.
couple shows I've been to, like I just looked at the lineup this weekend for the show and I was like, there's like no disrespect, but it's not Eli Fernandez is the biggest name in the show, and then you got like Masa and some other girls that I'm familiar with, and then Hope who just got second at Atlanta, but like it's quiet right now.
It
I
is.
I so yes, I would love to do a Bikini Olympia prediction, probably a little bit closer to the Olympia when everybody's a little bit more like excited. But it's interesting because I've heard some other people kind of talk about this over the past couple weeks. It's like, I don't know if it's just who I'm watching, what I'm watching. I feel like it's just been a little bit quieter with the Olympia. Like you haven't heard as much like hurrah and just
Yeah. Yeah,
excitement.
let's plan to do a Olympia prediction video maybe 2 weeks out once we know all the qualified athletes, once we can because yeah, it's even, because I don't have a top 10 Olympian on my roster right now, I'm not really paying attention. When I was with Daraja and Ariana and I was like, okay, and even Otavia, I thought Otavia could have been a top 10 Olympian. I was really like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to know who's doing what and how they're looking and what the standard is. And I was backstage at every show. I was on the phone with the judges. I was making sure I knew what to do. So you do take your focus away when it's not like, I mean, that detailed, right? I've got a couple girls that I think I can make top 10 Olympians. So we're working our way up, but that's a natural progression.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it took Daraja a couple years to get there. It took me, well, Ariana took me 1 year to get her first call outs at the Olympia. So like I know the path and I have a couple girls that I think can do that, a similar projection like that. But I've been telling a couple of these girls that I'm coaching, I'm like, listen, it's wide open right now. There was a year or two there where like pro bikini, if you weren't a top 15 Olympian, you weren't like those girls were doing every show.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I actually I did see the list for this weekend. So by the time this comes out, it'll already have happened. But the Sarasota show, and there was a decent amount of names. I was like, oh, it'll be interesting to see.
Small. Like the Atlanta Pro had like 16 or 17. Vancouver show a couple weeks ago had like 7. This show has less than 20, Lexi.
No,
Um,
this has. Did you see both pages though? Because there was with the pro list for the
oh,
pro, there's 2 pages. You had to swipe because there.
okay. But are those crossovers? There's masters there.
No, I don't.
I'm saying there is masters at that show. So sometimes they're
Oh,
masters competitors that just do the open.
yeah, it looks like on the list for open bikini for Florida Pro. I mean, there's like 25 of them. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just missed some of them.
yeah, yeah, I almost missed it too because you had to like swipe, but there Massa is on the list, Hope
Mhm.
Castelli,
Mhm.
Tamikia Carter,
Okay. Yeah.
Eli Hernandez, and then we have Brittany Hamilton, Christy Mzandi, Nade, and yeah, and Marissa Wu, Jody Yunkner. So like those are just I'm just kind of spitting out.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that whole
Decent,
second
decent
page
lineup.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brittany was second call outs in Atlanta. Um, so if she's improved, she'll be, but that's a pretty dang deep lineup then. Okay,
Yeah.
so I retract my previous statement.
No, I thought the same thing yesterday. I saw the list and I was like, oh, that's really small. And then I realized, oh, you had to swipe to the right because there was a whole other page. So yeah,
Right.
it'll be interesting. It's one of those I'm actually really excited to watch. I'm not gonna be there in person, but I will probably watch the live stream. So if there is one, so we shall see.
Yeah, so we'll definitely because I'm actually going to be at, and I'm assuming a lot of these girls, because a lot of those are local names, they're going to be at Battle of the Bodies.
Yeah.
So Battle of the
We'll be
Bodies
there.
might have a decent size. I've got planning to put Lana's contract in, Christina's contract in. Um, I don't think my girl that just turned pro, we're going to look at, she's actually a natural athlete. So I think we're going to do a natural pro show and then go to the Ben Weider to get qualified for the Olympia that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I was predicting that too, Paul. I feel like a lot of girls that do Sarasota this weekend are probably going to do Battle of the Bodies the next weekend. So yeah, it'll be fun to see. I feel like this is kind of bikini pro, the pro bikini league is like it's the equivalent of like the Super Bowl in football for a lot of people because like I don't follow that stuff, but I follow bikini like it's like my Super Bowl. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Historically, it has been, but I'm with you, Lexi. I think I've had a lot of people ask me, why is there no hype around the Bikini Olympia this year? And I'm like, well, I don't know if it's me or if it's the landscape of the sport, or it's been a while since there was someone new in the sport. Like,
Yeah.
we all know the first call outs at the Olympia. It's before the show starts. We know who it's going to be. There may be a girl that kind of sneaks in, but it ain't going to be a completely like, there's nobody that's, I
No,
don't know.
and I think a lot of the big ticket selling names too aren't necessarily competing outside of Laura Lee anymore.
Point. Yeah.
And no one's
Yeah.
came in to really take
Well, and it
those
was always
spots.
exciting. It was like, okay, who's going to win between like Laura and Jen, and like
Hmm.
so I don't know that is there anyone contending with Laura right now? I feel like it's her show until she shows up off.
Yeah.
Um, Now she had the whole year off this year. This is the first year she didn't do the Arnold in what, 4 years, 3, 4 years. So she should be super fresh. Um, and then obviously after Pittsburgh was like the last stacked lineup we saw. And Amy took that one pretty handily. So she's going to be, fighting to get up in that. And then we haven't seen Ashley much this year, but we know
Yeah.
she brings
Yeah.
it
Very
when
little.
it's her time to shine. She puts it all together.
She sure does. Yeah. I feel like another reason probably why we are just kind of feeling like it's been a little bit quieter is I feel like the bikini pro and also just like the Olympia in general has maybe been a little overshadowed by just the hype around like fit model, right? Like I feel like that's been the talk of a lot, in this sport recently, just the addition of fit model and people watching that. So maybe that's a little bit why we haven't noticed as much like excitement around the Olympias. It's just been a little overshadowed by like everybody's hype and attention going to fit model. I don't know. That's just a theory.
I mean, listen, the division is obviously shrinking. The NPC division, this will be a record low year for bikini since it started at
Yeah.
the national level. It's already determined because we just had North Americans, which should have been 200 athletes at 109, the only national show left now is nationals. And they typically get around 200. Last year, they were down to 160. So if they drop, we're talking a record low number of competitors for bikini, which is then the wellness and the fit model are kind of filling that void a little bit for women's numbers because figure has also been abysmal. So I don't know. I heard somebody the other day say that bodybuilding needs a reset. They need to hit the reset button on bodybuilding. And I was like, I don't agree, but I get what you mean. I feel
Yeah, I
like,
understand it.
yeah, I feel um, and it happens pretty quickly. I'm curious if they're going to introduce this new men's division. No one's talked about it, but it would
Mhm.
just make sense with the success of Fit Model and the shrinking numbers of men's physique to introduce men's fashion model or whatever it is. I don't know what they call it, but like,
Men's fashion model.
I
hey,
don't think you get a lot of guys signing up for that one.
you'd be surprised. Well, maybe not fashion model, but maybe like, I don't
There'll
know.
be
What?
something with beach in it.
Yeah, they can't call it classic men's physique. That's too many words.
Yeah.
Because I thought they could have called it classic bikini because it is bikini.
It's
Yeah,
probably men's beach body or something like that is what they'll
Yeah,
call it.
men's. I actually don't hate that men's beach body.
I like
Um,
that. Yeah. I don't know though, that gives me like vibes of, isn't there like a old company called like Beachbody or something that,
yeah, there is like a fat loss like
yeah, yeah,
solution
I don't
called
know.
Beachbody, but
But
um,
I do want to make a point to say this too before we start to wrap things up, guys. If you have not already gotten a ticket for our San Diego Command the Stage, I would hop on that. We are looking
well,
to,
I'm opening it up now to my clients. I opened it up to the public. I'm going to
okay,
be sending out an update to my clients to go ahead and grab tickets now. So I think by the time this comes out, you might want to check the website if you go to prophysique.com/events to see if there's a spot available. But it's October 2nd in San Diego at Brett's Glute Lab. It's very limited, and it's going to be the three of us, Lana and Brett, doing some seminars, some training, some posing, and just hanging out in Pacific Beach, San Diego.
yeah,
Yep.
that'd be super fun. Yeah, so if you are interested in that, go check to see if there's tickets still available. I know I had some clients ask me, and also this may be helpful for any of your guys' clients too, or pro physique athletes, if like if there was anybody that wanted to share an Airbnb. So I'm sure we can work out some of that information too amongst our clients who want to maybe stay together. So yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Outstanding. All right. Anything else you guys want to go over right now?
I don't think so. No. But
All right.
comment, what should we have them comment below today? If you're still listening, how about you guys comment below? Tell us what you guys want to hear in the next episode or two. Like it doesn't have to be a whole on topic, but if there's anything maybe you want us to answer question wise, a topic that you just want to hear about, why don't you comment below?
Or maybe how's your excitement level for Bikini Olympia this year? Is it higher than normal, lower than normal? I think that would be a
Okay.
good
Yeah,
a good question out there.
perfect.
Yeah, we need to make a before we do the predictions podcast, we need to put up a poll and put like, who will I don't want to say who's going to win, but we'll do something like, hey, we want to hear who's your top 5 at the Olympia this year.
Hmm.
Like
Love that. Yeah.
prediction wise, which
I
it's
have that
pretty
figured out already.
yeah, listen, I think my surprise this year is that Reina Perez. And it's not a surprise to anybody that's seen her compete or been at a show. She's won every show she's done this year. Um,
Yeah.
and she's you know what I love? She's still going. Like she didn't just shut it down and get ready for the Olympia because it's close enough where she just competed last weekend and won. So like she's just getting that feedback. She's getting in front of all these judges. Like she's gonna be like, do not be surprised if she wins the Bikini Olympia. That's all
I
I'm saying.
definitely, she's one of my top contenders for sure. I mean, after seeing her at Republic of Texas in person, I was like, whoa. Like, I think I even said it on the podcast after that weekend. I'd never seen her compete in person before. And I mean, she looks great in pictures online, don't get me wrong, but in person, like, I don't know how it's possible. She's like 10 times more captivating in person and mesmerizing. Like,
Crazy. And her
it's,
balance is so good. And she's one of 3 girls in the IFBB that I can think of. Okay, I'll say 4 that have that glute. It's Laura Lee, Ashley Kaltwasser, Ariana Brothers, and Reina Perez. They have that upper glute density that you're just like, you just, that's it. Like, so she's got that wow factor for sure. So yeah, I won't be surprised if she's in that final call out at all.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun one. Yeah. Cause I'll actually have to review a lot of the results this year because it's been a minute since, and maybe that's part of it, guys. Maybe it's that we're not seeing the top 10 of the Olympia on stage at all.
Yeah, they a lot of them taking breaks this year. Yeah.
They're all like, they all shut it down. You know, Ashlyn shut it down. Ashley's done a couple little shows like Vancouver, but I haven't seen her on a regular basis. Amy shut it down right after. Did she do New York? Did she do back to back?
No, she did.
No,
Did
she
she
did
do New
New
York?
York.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was like she was like I think it was this year. She was like sick going into it too, but yeah, she did New York.
Yeah. So that's that. You know, she's been quiet. So like, yeah, we're not seeing like the rock stars of bikini hitting the stage this last couple months. They're all lined up for the Olympia.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be exciting. I feel like October will be an exciting month between Command the Stage and then going straight to the Olympia. I'm excited
Yeah.
for.
And then I will sleep for a week.
Yes,
Okay.
you will.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the Pro Physique Code.
Bye, guys.